Hey everybody out there, it's Alabama Deep coming back at you. So let's do our Invicta watch check. It's still running. It hasn't stopped yet. It's keeping up with the pace. I haven't adjusted or touched anything on it. It's doing just good. Perfect. Like it. Okay, so let's talk about Invicta watches. Invicta watches. What do you think about those? I'm going to ask everyone who is watching this video, put their opinion in comments below and let me know what you think about that. I want to know how you feel about Invicta watches. I want you to tell me your honest opinion on it. Don't hold back. Do you like them? Love them? Do you hate them? Or just don't know? And then we're going to go a little bit into about what they are. Light my cigarette. Very rare event in the watch room, but I'm going to go ahead and smoke one. So, okay, Invicta watches. Invicta is a watch company that came out in 1837 in La Chaux-de-Fonds, Switzerland, I believe. And the watches you buy today are not the same as what they were, say, 50 years ago. Although that Invicta was at one time a Swiss watch company, they filed bankruptcy in 1980 and disappeared off the face of the earth, but was reborn in 1983 when it was born again, and they started selling Invicta watches and recreating them. However, Invicta then went bankrupt again and was bought by Americans in Hollywood, Florida. And since then, they have been ran within the United States. Now, I have heard that Invicta distributions, as far as stores for the all 50 states of the United States, they have gone bankrupt or filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy as in 2023. And they're going to be closing down some of the Invicta watch stores. Now, I don't see that as being a fault for Invicta themselves. I see it as more people buying and selling things on the internet. But let's get something for you to view and to look at while I'm discussing Invicta watches. So here's the one that I just did a restoration on, at least in part until we're ready to finish up again. And then here's one you probably haven't seen. I restored this one off camera to some degree. I got it running and did a little bit on it. So we have two vintage Invicta watches here, men's watches. I believe both of them are going to be the 1950s. And these watches are completely different from what I'm about to show you. Now, Invicta was created by Raphael Bacard. And he was so impressed with looking at the beauty of Swiss watches, he wanted to make it affordable to anybody. And thus, he came up with his dream and passion in the watch world of establishing a Swiss watch that was economical and affordable to anybody. Absolutely anybody. To the poorest person, he felt everybody should be able to own a Swiss watch. And he heavily succeeded for several decades, well, actually past a century, up until the bankruptcy of his beloved company in 1980. Now, things take a turn for Invicta. They've gone from, well, we can't use this one because this is a different case, but they go from looking like a traditional Swiss watch, as you see here, more traditional, and I'm thinking about redoing this crystal. They go from looking like this, and then they take a drastic change, and then they ended up coming to look a lot like this. My goodness, that's a chunk of metal. This is one of the heaviest sub watches I have ever owned. But nonetheless, I wanted to own it, so now I do. So let's turn it a little bit about like that. Okay, that's a lot better. So you see, there's a huge difference between that and the affordable Swiss watch of the latter years. So the marketing changes, the design changes, because it's not the same company per se. Even though American investors and business men and women in Hollywood, Florida buy Invicta, they know that there needs to be a change. They know there needs to be a change because these are no longer selling. And that's to be seen with the filing bankruptcy of Invicta in 1980, of course. Mentioned that a couple times, so we won't mention that again. So you can see the dramatic change. And that is because, of course, everyone knows Americans are more sensational. And that's part of our charm, for the most part, is it not? You know, everyone seems to love America, yet hate Americans, but that's because we're more bold, we're out there more, we're more direct, and not seen as polite as the rest of the world. But anyway, that kind of goes to help me establish and help you see what I'm saying, is that the change can be seen from people from not within the U.S. to people from within the U.S., as it were. So, big difference, big difference. Now, this is, like I said, the biggest sub-watch I have ever owned. Compared to a regular 40 millimeter, my goodness, can you see the difference in that? Absolutely huge. But nonetheless, Invicta, I guess you could still say, even though it's not really the same company, it's the assets of that company. And I'm sure with that, the board of directors changed. People in advertising, they probably recruit more newer, fresher minds that come in. And Invicta is where it's at from 1983, coming all the way up into the 2000s. And they had a lot of successful lines. Probably their most successful is their dive watch. Now, this is a homage to a Rolex Submariner. There is absolutely no doubt about that. 110%. It is a homage watch of the Rolex Submariner. And if there's anyone out there that does not agree with that, let's bring in a comparison watch. And there is a Rolex Submariner right here. And you can tell by looking at it, it is definitely a homage watch to that. So let's take that away again, and let's get back to Invicta, because we're not talking about Rolex itself, per se. So it's a completely different watch company, but yet they still have the same values for the most part. And that is an affordable watch that anyone can afford, but at the same time, they still want to turn a profit. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't know how the hell, pardon my language, I don't know how the heck Invicta can even make a profit with their dive watch. I do not see it. A lot of their other watches, I do not see how they turn a profit on it. Looking at the Invicta dive watch here, I guess it's the Pro Diver. I think it is. I'm still learning on some of the Invictas. But looking at this watch, its movement is more or less a Seiko movement. It's a very good movement. It'll run forever. The quality is absolutely outstanding. I know a lot of their watches are probably made in China, or at least assembled in China using some Swiss parts. from what I have read. But I don't see how they can even really turn a profit on a $50, $60 dive watch that is this good. Yes, I'm going to say it, folks. Invicta, with an automatic watch movement such as this, is a heck of a watch. It really is. I don't think they get enough credit for their mechanical and automatic watches. I don't think they get enough credit because they really do put a lot for your dollar into these type of Invicta watches. I don't follow the trend with some people saying that they're trash, because they're not trash. I guess I am somewhat of a watch snob myself, but at the same time, I'm not going to put down Invicta when it comes to their automatic and mechanical watch movements. They are truly anything but trash. They do use some Swiss movements at times, like this basic Seiko movement in there. It is a good movement. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to throw the vintage in there with it. Why the heck not? So I don't really go with that trend that Invicta's trash, because it's just simply not. It is a dependable watch. It'll get you through your work day. It can withstand tons and tons of abuse. I don't see how anyone can say that Invicta is a trash watch, because they're not stating the full truth on that. And yeah, we'll go ahead and throw that one in there too. Everything that I have seen on an Invicta, from me looking at it from under the microscope to just optics to handling it and wearing one. I wore this blue one for years. It has never failed me. It has never stopped. It does not have the feel of a cheap watch. It does not have the wind of a cheap watch. It's very smooth. It's 25 jewel movements. I mean, they are a good watch. And I will verify that in just a back. It could be 21 jewel. I just have to look at the back, but I believe it's 25. And I just don't go along with what other people have to say. You tell me where you can find an automatic watch with a movement that good in it and that dependable, with a real meteorite dial, good God, weighing that much for $100. I would love for someone to tell me that, because it's not going to happen. Invicta really goes out of the way and goes above and beyond and has created very, very dependable watches. Now, they're not going to be a Rolex. No, they're not. They're not going to be the same quality of a Rolex. No, absolutely they won't be. But they're not that far behind, in my opinion, because even though that most of their parts are machined, and even though a lot of them are not touched by the human hand in assembly, you know, they are a very dependable watch. And I have nothing bad to say about those with the mechanical movements. Now, on the other hand, I'm going to say it, that if there is any type of Invicta out there that is a quartz movement, okay, now we can start talking about trash. I do not like quartz movements in the least little bit. Some of them, hey, they can grab my attention. That's a lot like this Federique Constant. It is a quartz movement. It is battery operated. This Federique Constant sells for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I mean, you know, I think it's like $1,000 maybe, something like that. But at the same time, it's a quartz movement. So as far as I'm concerned, it falls in the same category as an Invicta would. Federique Constant is kind of a grabby name right now in watch designer. That's about it. I think in time, with the trend, that will die down to where it's really nothing more than that, and it'll be a far forgotten watch. I do know Federique Constant doesn't necessarily hold its resale value. not anywhere close to what Rolex is. And I know to the watch snobs out there that love Rolex and are nothing but Rolex, they're going to say Frederic Constant is just another watch in the same level as Invicta. And I don't necessarily see it that way. I think Invicta is ahead of Federici Constant, simply because if you can look at their automatic and mechanical movements that are, for the most part, in the older generation, definitely Swiss, to self-proclaim Swiss, I think they are above Federic Constant. And I think that just because Federic Constant is more of a design and more of a fashion watch than it is anything else. To me, having a quartz watch is nothing like having an automatic or mechanical watch, because that's where the precision and art is. Putting something together that small, that functions that well, to be able to keep up within plus or minus 1 or 2 seconds a day, and at times none, plus or minus none, 0, and being able to keep that close to accurate time without using any quartz at all, to keep time that well, I think is just a marvel. So I actually think Invicta is above Federic Constant. I don't see a comparison there. Now, if I see a Federic Constant with a mechanical movement, then we're going to talk. Because at that point, I would put them on a level playing field, simply because Invicta does make some Swiss watch movements. And with that, I think that they're on a leveling playing field when they do produce those and make a Federic Constant that has that. Other than that, if I see a Federic Constant, just like you just saw, as a quartz movement, then I'm sorry, Invicta is going to blow them away, because they are mechanical. They are precision. They are put together very well, and they will withstand the test of time. That Federic Constant I just showed you, that's a quartz movement, in probably about 60 years, it's going to die. Guaranteed it's going to die. Any of these Invictus here, and as this one has shown you, have already lasted over 60 years. And they're still ticking and going with a little bit of maintenance and care. The Federic Constant is going to require a total breakdown in replacing most of its original parts. By the time it comes, goes, dies, and is revived, it's going to have a lot of its parts replaced. That's what I'm going to say. On these, it just needs a cleaning. All the original parts are still there. This one that I worked on, all original. This one I worked on, all original. And these two, of course, are still way too young to need a servicing yet, though I know that will come in latter years. But Invicta, to me, is not a trash watch. It's not a watch to really make fun of. What they have done for the ultimate survival of their company. Now, there's a lot of hype with them. There is. I don't really go for those. I go for the ones you see here. Now, this one has a lot of hype to it. You know, that Hydromax, oh my goodness. That thing is huge. And this is the highest rating dive watch I have, because it's good to 3,000 feet. This one here, probably, probably 200, 300 feet, and then it's gonna fail. These, of course, are not going to be rated for any type of depth whatsoever. You could shower with one of these on, and they're going to flood simply because of their age, and I have not done much gasket work on them yet. But nonetheless, they don't have a screw-down crown, or screw-down back, so I would not trust them to take a shower with. I might wear one out in the rain, and that's about it. But that's just my opinion with what I have about them. I do like some Invictas, and then again, some other Invictas look like they came out of a Cracker Jack box. You know, they were free in your box of cereal that you got, because they're so weird and freaky and huge looking. You know, so really it is up to the taste of the individual to decide where Invicta stands with them. For me, someone who is a watch collector, someone who is a watchmaker, someone that enjoys restoring old watches, from Rolex to Bulova to whatever you have. Invicta definitely has a place in the Swiss watch world. It to this day has some place in it, although I do feel like they way overuse the term Swiss made. I think Invicta overuses that term way too much, considering that their newer movements have Ronda movement in it, which is, I'm going to go ahead and say it, Frederic Constant has Ronda movement in it as well, and the Ronda movement I'm not a fan of. It turns my stomach. I don't like them. That's just me. But then again, not all Frederic Constants uses Ronda movement. But Ronda movement, believe it or not, as a quartz watch, is a Swiss movement. If you want to get technical about it, but it is. All the ones I have here are the ones that fit my taste. This is for when I'm feeling kind of out there. The rest of these are just normal day wear watches that I enjoy. So I can't really put down Invicta, even though they do copy Rolex for their homage watches quite a bit, to, being a little too bold at times. But still, what watch company has not copied Rolex? Every watch company I can think of, at least one of their models is going to be a homage to Rolex. And I'm not going to go out there and say it's a ripoff to Rolex, because you simply cannot rip off Rolex, because their parts, the way they've machined them, the way they put them together with their pure perfection, that cannot ever be ripped off or reproduced by anybody other than them. There's lots of other great watch companies out there, but they are unto their own and can only do what they do best. So that's my stance on Invicta. That's my stance on where they belong in the watch world. I think they are taking a little bit of too much of a beating, and wrongfully so, because they did establish themselves, being founded in 1837 and lasting all the way up to 1980. That is a long time. That's over 100 years. And so with that, they too deserve a little bit of respect, because I don't know too many people that can start a company and have it last over 100 years. Companies come and go within 20, 30 years. They open and close and shut down. Invicta did not. It seemed to stand the test of time up until the 80s, when sorrowfully they filed bankruptcy. But they're truly a watch company that won't die, because there's always somebody else to come in and pick up the mantle and carry on, no matter how bold or inventive with the imagination that they can be. So this is Alabama Deep. That's just my opinion. Tell me your opinions below on what you think of Invicta. I want to hear it. Do you like them? Do you not like them? If you do like them, what's your favorite Invicta watch? I really want to know. So thanks everybody for watching. I am now going to upload this video, and I may decide to go ahead and get into a watch repair and another one tonight. We'll just see. But I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for sharing, and subscribing, and being a part of this journey with me, and I'll see you on the next video.